Hello and welcome back. This is Sports Your Shorts. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jimmy.
And we had a good week off. We got our Facebook created. So now you guys want to check us out on Facebook, Sports Your Shorts. We also got all the episodes uploaded. So if you ever want to just catch up on an episode, you can go ahead and catch up on Facebook and YouTube. We've got them on YouTube as well. So how are things, Jimmy?
Good. How about you?
Good. So a lot has happened. The March Madness is almost over. What'd you think of it, Jimmy?
None of my picks turned out very well.
I actually liked it. There was a lot of good games. Wisconsin versus Florida was an amazing game. Basically, the same shot put it in overtime. The same shot won the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty awesome. And MLB is almost starting. Opening day is April 2nd. So we'll start to talk about the MLB more when it actually starts. But right now we're just kind of going to talk about it very small. The first thing is it's starting day again is April 2nd. And I think the Cubs are going to make the World Series again and face the Rays, which is what I picked. But what do you think?
I want the Cubs and Royals.
You want the Cubs and Royals? And I think we've stated that previously that we think that the Cubs are just going to win because they have a really good team in the National League, and they just have they didn't lose very many players, and they just have a way of they can get back, and it's actually nice to see them win because it's been over 100 years since the Cubs were even relevant. So it's nice to actually talk about a team that's relevant now.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it on MLB. So we're going to move straight to basketball. Like we said, the tournament is almost over. We're at the Final Four. The final game is April 3rd. And in one side, you've got South Carolina versus Gonzaga, and you've got North Carolina versus Oregon. So, Jimmy, what do you want to see in the tournament?
I want to see South Carolina take it all.
I think it'd be really cool to see South Carolina and North Carolina play. I think that would just make Carolina go crazy. And I just think it'd be really cool just to see that happen. And the whole tournament's been amazing. Like, South Carolina's a 7 seed, and it's in the Final Four. So that's really cool. It's not the highest seed to make it to the Final Four, but it is definitely really cool that a 7 seed is in the Final Four.
I like the underdog.
Yeah, the underdog's always fun to root for. That's pretty much it.
Did you hear about the Kentucky coach blaming the refs for them losing, and all the Kentucky fans are sending the ref death threats?
I did not hear about that, but I mean, that sounds a little extreme for Joe Cal.
Their fans are crazy.
For not just our fans sending death threats, but it also sounds a little extreme for John Calipari to blame refs and have it get this much of a fire behind it.
I mean, it wasn't the ref's fault. Did you watch the game?
A little bit. Not all of it.
He said that they basically fouled out his players in the first half when they only had 2 fouls each.
Mm-hmm.
And in the game, Kentucky was only called for 1 more foul than North Carolina. So
yeah, and the game was still relatively close, and North Carolina only won by a last-second shot. So it really wasn't like they got blown out and Malik Monk, I think is his name, nailed a 3 to tie the game. So if the fouls really affected them, it didn't affect them that much because they were in the game the whole game.
Yeah, and also, what do you think about Lonzo?
Well, he had a really bad game his last game, and I don't know if that actually hurts his draft costs, but it certainly doesn't help him. And I just think that his dad is just hyping him up too much. I don't know if he's going to be as good as everybody plans him out to be. I mean, he may be a star, but I don't see him being like as good as everybody makes him be out to be.
I find his dad very annoying, but at the same time, what he's doing is working because everyone's talking about Lonzo.
Yeah, and also what he's doing is to promote a brand. I mean, he wears that T-shirt that 3 Bs because he has 3 sons, all named Ball. So he's promoting his brand for everybody to see, and I mean, I guess you could call that a good marketing campaign. I don't think it is, but
my issue with him is his son does not. He makes all the decisions for his son, and when his son and LeVar's pissed off a lot of people in the NBA, like LeBron. So when Lonzo starts playing against some of these people, they're going to take their frustrations out on Lonzo. And I don't think it's going to sit well with the players in the locker room when LeVar is telling Lonzo what to say and what to do.
Yeah, and also I don't think it's going to sit well when he does get drafted, because that's a PR nightmare. And who wants that? Who wants when he has a bad game, his dad's going to talk, or when he has the best game, his dad's going to talk? Like, that's a PR nightmare that you have to complain. And that's something that teams now have to consider when they draft him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that they shouldn't have to consider.
Yeah.
It should not be this big of a thing. And I think he's really actually hurting his stock. His dad's hurting his son's stock, and he doesn't know it.
Yeah. This is the perfect segue for the NBA, though.
Yeah.
Where do you think he's going to go?
Well, I think he's definitely going to be drafted in the first round. And he's definitely, because he's got so much hype on his name, he's going to be drafted within the first 10 picks.
He's going to be a top 3 pick.
Yeah, top 3.
He's going to go to the Lakers. The Lakers, Brooklyn, and
76ers
yeah,
are in the lottery too. So I could see him going to the Lakers.
He wants to go to the Lakers, and the Lakers want him.
Okay, so the Lakers want him, and he wants to go to the Lakers. So if he goes to the Lakers, I mean, the Lakers are already a fallen team, so De'Aaron Fox plays for Kentucky.
That's who it is.
De'Aaron Fox plays for Kentucky, and there's also Malik Monk. But I think the steal of the draft is Purdue's forward. I think his name's like Caleb something.
I don't know.
It's Caleb like Stone something, or he's their forward that had almost as many double-doubles as Blake Griffin did in the tournament. He had 27, and I think he could have broken Blake Griffin's record if they actually made it further in the tournament, but they didn't. So Caleb Swanigan, that's his name. Caleb Swanigan, I think, is a real steal for anybody who's going to get him, because he can get double-doubles, he can rebound the basketball, he can play defense. So I think that he's going to be the steal of the draft.
What do you think about Russell Westbrook's triple doubles? Does it help him in the MVP race, or does it matter?
I think it can help him. It definitely can't hurt him, but I think it can help him. But I still think the MVP should be given to the person who does everything. And Russell lacks in not defense. He lacks in slowing the game down, and he lacks in basically just kind of helping his team out by trying to slow the game down.
Well, he's so concerned with rebounds.
Yeah.
That the guy he covers has the most open threes in the league.
Yeah.
And he has 350 shots more than anyone else in the league.
Mm-hmm. He shoots because he plays so fast. He's the first one down the court, and he's just always fast. Like that's who he is. He's 100 miles an hour go. And I don't really think that's someone who should give the MVP to, regardless of how many triple doubles you get.
I think I was wrong about Kawhi Leonard being the MVP.
Who do you think it should be then?
James Harden, no question.
Well, here's my thing with James Harden. He doesn't play good defense. I think the MVP...
He's played a lot better this year.
He's
completely changed his game.
He definitely has, but also he'll do things like he lost his shoe one time and just threw it at the guy he was supposed to guard.
When was that?
When was that? That was around it was a second week when games started. So
that was a long time ago.
That was a long time
ago.
And
that's funny.
And it is funny, but...
I mean, it's better than an open shot.
It is better than an open shot, but at the same time, I mean, if you lose your shoe, you could have thrown it off the court and go play defense.
But the guy was open.
Don't throw your shoe at him.
It was an open shot. What else is he supposed to do?
I mean... I say that you...
So you would rather have him shoot a wide open shot?
No, I would have just thrown my shoe off the court and go chase him down. Don't throw my shoe at him.
And then slip and hurt yourself?
All right. I guess we have a different opinion about this.
Who's your MVP?
I still think it's Kawhi Leonard because he plays defense.
No.
James Harden. And also what I will say is I think that Mike D'Antoni, who coaches the Rockets, should win Coach of the Year because of what he's done for the Rockets. He made James Harden a point guard. James Harden was not a point guard. And he's made him a better passer, and he's at least helped his defense.
The key word for MVP is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Where would they be? Where would the Spurs be without Kawhi Leonard?
I still think they would have a winning record. I don't think they'd be in the playoffs. But
I think they'd be in the playoffs. Maybe not the 2 seed.
Okay.
But they'd be in the playoffs. Where would the Rockets be without Harden?
They would not be where they're at.
They would not even be in the playoff talks.
No, they wouldn't even be in the playoff talks. So I guess you could say that. I just think the MVP is someone who does all around playing, and Harden needs to
Harden's changed his game, and he's getting people to come to the Rockets.
Yeah, and I also just think that's why I think Mike D'Antoni should win Coach of the Year, because how well he's changed Harden. Because before Harden was just a shooting guy, he didn't really get that much assist, and now he's getting triple doubles. Not like Westbrook, but he's getting triple doubles. He's more of a pass first, and he's a great point guard now. I didn't see when James Harden when Mike D'Antoni said James Harden's going to play point. I didn't see it working out. I really didn't. I did not.
It's worked out fantastic.
It has. It's helped the Rockets tremendously. And that's also another thing that we need to talk about, too, is the playoffs start in the NBA on April 15th. And right now, there's a lot of fight for, like, the 5th through 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. That's a whole – there's 7 games. There's 7 to 9 games. Some teams have 7 left. Some teams have 9 left. And there's about 5 games separating the 5 through 8 and the people still fighting for a playoff.
No.
So
I have an unpopular opinion here.
Mm-hmm.
I think if the Cavs are the 2 seed
Mm-hmm.
and they go 7 games a couple times, I think the Celtics could take them out and go to the finals.
It definitely could happen because the Cavs aren't playing very good defense. Now, I don't know if they're not playing.
It's LeBron's fault.
And I don't know if they're not playing very good defense also because LeBron's just like, we're already in the playoffs.
It's LeBron's fault because you could tell he's frustrated because the defense is not there. Mm-hmm. But he wanted scorers so he could keep up with the Warriors. Didn't get any defenders. The guys he got were old scorers, and they're not defenders. And he's pissed off about it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to segue into a commercial, and we're going to come right back, and we're going to continue to talk the NBA, and then we'll move straight to the NFL. And this is Sports Your Shorts. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jimmy.
I'm Andrew.
Everybody, it's the young visionary Kobe Thompson.
And this is the young king himself, Jay Todd.
And this is the +1, Jessica Miller.
And we are the originals, plus one. We are the originals because we've been doing our thing on the radio, J. Todd. They just now getting in tune with it. But hey, tune in now. Better late than never, right?
We've been here, cats and kittens, cool men and cool women all around campus. Make sure you tune in every day from 7:30 p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. sharp. Do not miss out.
Yes, please tune in for the best 30 minutes of your life.
Boom.
Bang.
And welcome back to Sports Your Shorts. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Andrew. And like I said, we're going to continue to talk about the NBA. So what is there to talk about, Jimmy?
Okay. I still, when Kevin Durant got hurt, I still thought the Warriors were going to make it to the finals. But I thought it would be more difficult. Mm-hmm. Without Kevin Durant, they're going to make it to the finals and win. And it's only going to help him when he gets back.
Yeah, and he's still considered to be back for the playoffs.
They're saying he's going to come back in the regular season.
That could help them kind of just play it out, and it could also help him kind of get back to the flow of things. Because right when you get in the playoffs, it's going to be real fast and real nitty-gritty, and you don't want to start.
There's not a team in the league that could beat them without Kevin Durant, let alone with. After what they did with the Spurs, where they were down 15-0 in the first quarter, and then they were down by 22 points total, and they came back and won by 12.
Yeah.
Steph Curry has turned it up a notch. He went back to Steph Curry from 2 years ago. This team, it took them a while. They lost a lot of their first couple games when he went out, but they're on a 9-game win streak. They just took out the Rockets. They just took out the Spurs, the 2 other best teams in the West. Who can beat them?
I mean, I don't think there's that many teams that can beat them. I mean, they're definitely going – I think they're still going to win it all, too. I mean, as much as it kind of kills me to say that the Warriors and the Cavs are going to make it again, I mean, I would like to see someone else, but –
I think it's going to be the Warriors in Boston.
And the way the Cavs are playing right now, I mean, they could lose it because they're not playing defense.
Even if the Cavs make it, they don't have a chance at stopping the Warriors this year.
They really don't have a chance of beating the Warriors. And I think the reason why it took the Warriors to win a little bit is they changed their whole game to play with Kevin Durant, and then when Kevin Durant went out, they had to change it again. And that takes some time. So it took them some time.
And you could tell that they lost a lot of their confidence throughout the year.
Yeah.
And it took them a little while to get their confidence back. And now they're more confident than they have been in a long time. And when Kevin Durant gets back, it's only going to get better.
Yeah, and it's definitely...
And say what you want, I think Kevin Durant can go shot for shot with LeBron.
I've always been I always thought LeBron was overrated. I never really agreed that he was the best player in the league. And I've just always thought he was overrated. And I didn't know that Kevin Durant was the best player in the league. He struggled with injury, but he can be the best player in the league if he can just stay healthy.
Which also brings up another point that I wanted to talk about. Do you think that it's a big deal that a lot of these star players are resting and sitting out games?
I don't think it's a big deal because the NBA is a long season.
But you don't see hockey players do it, and they play 82 games.
Yeah, but
in a more physical sport.
Yeah, but hockey is completely different from the NBA.
It's more physical.
Yeah, and the players are trained for that more physicality. In the NBA, they're not trained for that much physicality, and they're not trained, and maybe it's their trainers and all that, but they're not trained like hockey players are.
But they're paid a lot more.
They are paid a lot more.
And it's not as hard.
And it's not as hard, but they're just not trained like that. And
you didn't see a player sitting down until Greg Popovich a couple of years ago decided to start sitting Tim Duncan and everybody. Before that, the old players who had it a lot harder than the players nowadays, mind you, they played all 82 games no matter what.
Yeah. And I don't think it's a good thing for the NBA to have players to sit, but...
Michael Jordan played with the flu. LeBron doesn't want to play because he's tired.
Yeah. It's definitely not good, and it's definitely not good for the sport. But that's just how
it's not good for the fans because they're tired of
going to games and not seeing stars.
When LeBron comes to town, they triple prices for the tickets, and he might not even play. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I would not want to pay for that, but there's nothing you can really do about it.
There is. Stop letting it happen.
And how do you stop letting it happen? Do you suspend a coach? Do you suspend a player?
You need to put it in their contract.
But do you think
ESPN's about to drop them? They have to. They're losing so much money they have to let people go from this contract because the only games that the people are sitting down, nationally televised games.
I've always said that the NBA and the MLB have too many games. And
I think the MLB has too many games. I don't think the NBA has too many games necessarily. The playoffs need to go back to the way they were, where it was a best of 3, best of 5, then best of 7. But I mean, hockey, 82 games.
I know, but does hockey have back-to-back games and all that too?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought they were a little bit more spaced out than the NBA.
It's the exact same.
It's the exact same? Okay. Because I don't know that much about
Except
hockey.
they don't have private flights, I don't think.
Okay.
Like the NBA does. And they don't get paid near as much.
Yeah.
And there's people that get punched in the face a lot. And it's a very physical sport. They don't sit down. They want to play. They love to play. A lot of these NBA players anymore, and NFL players, they don't care about playing. They don't care.
Yeah, they care about their check.
Yeah. You don't see people love the game anymore. Every now and then you do. You could tell Steph Curry loves to play the game.
It's just, this is the way that it's kind of going to have to go, it's going to go, is they're not trained to go 82 games.
How? They have better trainers than they did back then.
I know, but back then, they played...
The problem is...
It's also back then they played for the love of the game, and now they don't.
The problem I see is they have Adam Silver is a joke of a commissioner who's too buddy-buddy with the players. And then no one wanted to try this with David Stern. David Stern would not put up with it. It would have been ended real quick. Adam Silver's a joke.
Well, and it's also the fact of, like, back then, players would play their heart out and they played with the flu and all that. And now players kind of just care about their body and they don't want to deteriorate it. And it's such a softer league. And that's what happens when sports get older, they get softer and softer. I mean, they played football without helmets and pads.
Adam Silver's a joke. And the NBA ratings are so far down. They're down 30% from last year. Because the NBA players don't care about the regular season, so why should anybody else? And the NCAA tournament was up 40% from any other previous year.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to raise because the games are more important.
It's because you could tell they're having fun and the games matter. The NBA didn't care.
Well, I mean, that's just how the NBA's been, though. It's been like that for a couple years. I mean, David Stern kind of kept things in check, but a lot of players still didn't care. And
he made them care. Adam Silver, when he took over, it's a whole different ballgame. He's a player-friendly guy. He's not for the owners. He wants to be friends with the players instead of being their boss.
Well, I mean, there's no one who's going to take his job. He's got his job guaranteed, so...
I'm just saying, eventually, they're going to start losing so much money, he's going to have to change, because ESPN's having to fire people.
Yeah.
TNT's not happy. ESPN and TNT have gone out of their way to talk bad about the NBA during broadcasting because of the players sitting out, because it's hurting their ratings. Nobody's going to want to watch backups versus backups.
Yeah, and
the Warriors and Spurs a couple weeks ago, that was a pitiful game.
I honestly don't know. There's nothing you can say about it. I mean, they're going to either choose to start them or they're going to choose to rest them for the playoffs. And if they're going to choose to rest them for the playoffs, then you could say something about it being 82 games.
You know, I listened to this Colin Cowherd podcast.
Yeah.
His co-host, Christine, gave a great idea. If they're going to rest games, take games off. If they're not hurt. If they're hurt, it doesn't matter. But if they're not hurt and they want to take a game off, count it towards their stats. We'll see how many people want to rest then.
Yeah, because you do that, because a lot of players play for their stats.
Yeah, that's the only reason they won't play a couple minutes and sit out. They care about their stats.
Yeah. So that actually is a really good idea. If you want to count it towards your stats and say that...
We'll see how many people want to sit out then.
Yeah. And that actually, I really like that idea.
James Harden, Russell Westbrook, love the game. They've been asked a couple times if they'd sit down, and they're like, no, my team needs me, and I worked really hard to get where I'm at today, and I love where I am, and I love what I do.
Yeah, and another thing we should talk about, so since we did talk about the standings, if the standings stayed where they were, so teams, since they got 7 to 9 games, if they just kind of stayed where they were right now, the Warriors would stay in first place, and they would face Portland.
Easy.
It's an easy. You do have Damian Lillard to worry about, so they may get one game, but realistically, I see Golden State sweeping them. And if they do, they may get one game with Portland. Damian Lillard might have a really good game, and Steph Curry might have like an off night or something. And then the Spurs would face Memphis, is what it would be right now. So that's what it's kind of shaping up is. Spurs would face Memphis, then Houston would face Oklahoma City, which would be a good Harden versus Westbrook.
Very good game. I have Houston going out on top.
And then you would have Utah versus the Clippers, which I would have Utah going because I just like how Utah plays game basketball. They play really good defense. And I feel like the Clippers, some of their stars are getting old.
Chris Paul's really good still.
Yeah. That will be definitely pretty good too. And then if you look at the East, it's Boston.
I think it's going to be the Wizards or Boston going out.
Yeah, and if Boston stays in first, they would face Indiana, who has the 8th seed right now. And Indiana still has Paul George, but...
Yeah, which Indiana's pretty good, but they're not great. Boston will be able to handle them, no problem.
Yeah, and you would have Cleveland facing Miami.
Miami's the team. They're on fire right now.
And also,
They're on a win streak.
Yeah, and I want to say, because I'm a D-Wade fan, they would have had the better year.
I'm not sure, man.
But
the past couple weeks, they've been on a tear.
And Dion Waiters has been in a great step up. I mean, I thought he was a terrible player, and I didn't praise the Heat for getting him because he had a lot of mistakes his first years in the NBA, and I didn't think he played very well with others, but he's really stepped up and changed. And Hassan Whiteside's definitely the best center in the game.
Yeah.
And then you would have Washington, who would face Milwaukee, who
John Wall's going to be able to take him, no problem.
Yeah, but I kind of like to watch Milwaukee because Jason Kidd has really changed that team.
Yeah.
And he's been a really good coach.
Milwaukee is different. For as long as I can remember, they haven't been anything.
Yeah, and now that they're actually fun to watch, it's nice to see. And then
they get another player or two, they could be the next Cleveland.
Well, not even if they get another player or two. They've got some young stars, so they continue to develop. They could be the next Cleveland because Giannis Antetokounmpo has only been pro for a couple years, and they still shoot lights out. They shot top 5 last year, and I think they're in the top 5 again in shooting. So they're still a very good team that just shoots. And then you would have Toronto versus Atlanta. And Atlanta is kind of full of old stars. They got Dwight Howard, Paul Millsap. So they've got a team that's kind of running on its last leg, in my opinion.
Now, I don't see the Wizards or anybody beating Cleveland per se.
Mm-hmm.
But I see them going 7. And then LeBron and them are going to be so worn out. By the time they play the Celtics could take the series in 7.
Well, I actually think anybody can beat Cleveland because Cleveland just can't play defense. Now, maybe that's just now because it's so close.
LeBron. You never count out LeBron.
Yeah, but last year they had 6 games where they allowed over 120 points. This year they've had 6 games this month where they've allowed 120 points.
But you got to think he's played more games than anybody else in NBA history.
Mm-hmm.
More games, more minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe they just need to find something and that kind of goes back to resting players. Because they're playing more games and more minutes than.
It's just LeBron. LeBron's the only one playing more games and more minutes. Now, back with the resting players things, I did hear one other solution the other day.
Okay.
Now, you could make the NBA rankings, keep it how they're seeded and everything, but home field advantage of a series goes to who won the most games between the two. The Warriors and Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever won more games out of those two has home court advantage in their playoff series.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense. And that could pursue players to want to play.
At least the big deal game.
Yeah, the big deal.
If they want to rest games, rest against Denver.
Or rest against Orlando or the teams that just aren't doing so hot. Or you could rest earlier in the season.
Rest against the Bulls. Nobody's going to care about the Bulls. Jimmy Butler is all but gone. Confirmed.
I mean, we'll see what happens. But I think we're going to have to segue into the NFL. So we're going to go hit a commercial break.
Hit it.
And this is Andrew signing off.
Jimmy.
Okay.
Jimmy. What's your wildest prediction for next year?
The wildest prediction for next year? The Browns win more than 3 games. That's my wildest prediction.
You know what my wild prediction is? Miami is going to upset New England and take the AFC North.
That's a good one. That's bolder than mine. If you like what you heard, make sure you tune in to Sports Your Shorts, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on UCM The Beat. All right, we're back to Sports Your Shorts. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jimmy.
And the first topic we're going to talk about in the NFL is the new rules. One of the new rules being is you cannot jump over the lineman anymore to block a field goal.
Yeah.
And another new rule being that
on a challenge, the head ref doesn't go review the play anymore. The call comes from New York.
And how do you think about these two rules right now?
I don't care either way about the jumping.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was I don't think it's that big of a hazard, but it was a 32-0 vote, so obviously I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I do like the review thing.
You do?
I do, because there's so many mistakes in these challenges.
And I can agree with that. There's so many mistakes in the challenges, but then you're relying on one person to make the whole call.
But it's the VP, the president of officiating. He's the one that decides the rules and what's what. So it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing.
I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's doing, but you're relying on that one call. So I'm not saying it's a bad idea, and I'm not saying it's a good idea. I feel indifferent about it. I'm not saying the old way worked, because it didn't. And I don't know what this new way is going to work, because we haven't played a game yet.
I just want to see people play football. I'm tired of this flag football stuff.
But I'm also tired of... I did make a tweet 5 years ago that the NFL would become touch football. And they've made a lot of rules to the hitting, to the kickoffs, and to a lot of things. And I still think that maybe, not in the near future, but it could come a time where it becomes touch football.
It wouldn't surprise me. The NFL is also giving the officiating crews more power on calling what's taunting and what's not. It's up to them now.
And this is another thing that the game's not fun anymore. They're
talking about protecting the integrity of the game.
Mm-hmm.
How? Like, no one's getting offended by celebrations.
No.
I used to really enjoy the celebrations that the people used to do. The choreography with the other players.
Yeah.
I remember watching the Chiefs in 2003 with Mark Bowrichter doing the worm.
Yeah, and I remember when Steve Smith used to like put like a blanket over the football like it was a baby or something like that. And I can understand why they took some of those out, because it took a little bit longer, made the game a little bit longer.
But it was more fun.
It was fun, and maybe I can understand narrowing it down. But these guys, when you make a play, I remember when I played football, when you made a play, you felt amazing. And all you wanted to do was just jump up and down. All you wanted to do was not necessarily taunt the guy, but do a little fist pump, do a little show off. That's all you wanted to do. And that's all these players want to do. That's their livelihood.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything wrong with it. And they've even asked players, do you see anything wrong with it? And some of them have said if it goes too far. But if it's just them doing something small, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, like, another issue I have, Odell Beckham's allowed to go propose to the kicking net.
Yeah.
But Antonio Brown can't dance?
Yeah. That makes no sense.
How is that protecting the integrity of the game?
It's really not, and it's just the way that this is going to be, though, is it's going to be not necessarily a baby league, but it's going to be something that it is. It's a contact sport. People are afraid, and it's taunting. And we're in this world where you have to worry about everybody's feelings, and
yeah.
It's not something I agree with completely.
Now, the next topic I want to talk about was at the owners' meeting, the Raiders got the opportunity to move to Los Angeles, and that will be their new home.
You mean Las Vegas?
Las Vegas, starting in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I mean, I just think this is a way for the NFL has always said they want to become more worldly. And they're playing games in London. and stuff like that. And this is just another way for them to become. I wouldn't be shocked with how many games we're playing in London if we have a London team, because they want to become bigger than soccer, and this is
and
their
can be.
Yeah, and they can be, and this is their step to be. This is one of the steps that
They're
they have
going
to
to
make.
start playing a lot of games in Mexico.
Yeah,
So they can get a Mexican team. I think they'll get a Mexican team before a London team because it's
a little
closer.
bit. Yeah.
Do you think it's good for the Raiders, or do you think?
I don't think it's good for the Raiders fans because they're going to lose a lot of fans. I mean, people in Oakland love the Raiders.
I don't know why.
And
I don't know why anybody would love the Raiders.
that's because you're a Chiefs fan, but people in Oakland love the Raiders. And when you went to an Oakland game, it was a whole different experience than any game you go to in the NFL.
Because you might get stabbed.
It's not just that; it's just a whole different experience.
Because you're probably going to die.
That's not the only reason.
It was the worst stadium in the NFL.
Yeah. And
not just the NFL, in all of professional sports.
And now that they're moving to Las Vegas, you lose all those fans, but are they going to gain any more fans? Because there isn't very many teams in Las Vegas.
I don't think they'll. I don't think they'll gain many more fans, but I don't think they'll lose that many either.
You don't think so?
It's the Oakland mayor's and the city government's fault.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that kind of makes it a semi-big deal is they have to play 3 years in Oakland before it happens. Maybe 2.5 before they move to Las Vegas. So you're creating like I don't know what a good word to use is, but you're creating a fight because the Oakland's just like, oh, we're going to lose this team in 3 years. What's the point?
There's not going to be many tickets sold because it's not their team anymore.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's good for the Oakland franchise because their stadium was losing money, and it was the last NFL stadium that shared a stadium with a baseball team.
Yeah, and another thing is there's a lot of teams in California. We brought this up in my other radio show they work in. There was 7 just in Los Angeles. There's 7 professional teams that play just in Los Angeles. So you've got those 7, plus you've got teams in San Diego, San Francisco.
Team in San Diego.
San Diego Padres.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's 7. There's 7 professional teams.
Okay.
And there's teams in San Diego and stuff like.
You got more than 7.
And just in Los Angeles, you've got 7.
Okay.
Professional teams.
Okay.
So in California, I think I counted 11, but there might even be more.
I have no idea.
And if they lose 1, whoop-de-doo, they still got 10. Like, I didn't think that maybe they could have lost another one, but losing 1 really didn't affect California.
All I know is Marshawn Lynch isn't going to come back anymore.
I didn't think there was a chance that he was going.
I thought he could.
You thought he could?
I thought he would. I don't think he is anymore.
I didn't think there was a chance just because he sat out a year, and I think he's really enjoyed his year gone, and I just didn't see him coming back. When you sit out 1 year, it's like when you take like 3 days off of work, and then you're like, oh, I have to go back to work.
Yeah, but it was different for him. For professional athletes, I think it's different.
You think it's just a little different?
I think he legitimately loved playing football.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you got to play for his home team. That's his home. Oakland's his home. He's an Oakland Raider boy. Mm-hmm. If you got to play for the Oakland Raiders, there's no chance in...
Yeah, I just didn't see him after sitting 1 year coming back. And I don't think it would have helped the Raiders anyway.
Do you think the Oakland Raiders are going to be relevant the next 3 years?
Yeah. They're a good team, regardless. I mean, they almost made the playoffs this year. And
they did make the playoffs.
They made the playoffs this year.
They have a good quarterback.
Yeah, and they have a good defense. So,
did you see the way they played the Texans?
I mean, that wasn't entirely their defensive fault because they had no way of scoring, so they had so many 3 and outs. When you put your defense through that much 3 and outs.
Statistically speaking, I love Derek Carr. I do. Mm-hmm. I wish he wasn't a Raider fan so I could support him more, or a Raider. I don't think it's possible for him to have the same season he had last year.
I think it is.
I don't. There's more teams that have film on him. He's coming back from a big injury. I don't see... he's still going to be really good. He's still going to be a top 10 quarterback. Last season, he would have been the MVP.
If he didn't get hurt and they won a playoff game, I think he would have been the MVP, yeah.
I think that is... I think that he's going to be good, but I don't think... They're in the toughest division in football. And I'm not a big Alex Smith fan, but the rest of the Chiefs, they have the best roster in the NFL.
And I don't know if they're in the toughest division because I still think the division that has the Buccaneers...
The NFC South.
Yeah, the Falcons and Carolina. Because I think Carolina could be a better team.
No, they can't.
I think...
just had surgery.
I understand that, but I think if they fix that offensive line to protect Cam Newton better, that he could have a good year.
He won't even throw a football till July.
Well, that's their fault for not having a good offensive line. They had a terrible offensive line last year.
Okay. How is that the toughest division of football, though? Name the relevant playoff teams.
Well, I think it's one of the toughest divisions of football because you have, even though the Falcons are the most relevant playoff team in that, you have Tampa Bay at least making strides to become the playoffs, and I think Tampa Bay could take over Atlanta.
Tampa Bay is going to...
And if Carolina...
This coming up here, it's Tampa Bay's division.
Yeah, it's in...
Atlanta, Matt Ryan's never going to have a season like he just had.
Okay.
And they're not going to have what they used to have because... They're going to have to start paying their running backs. They had their two running backs were still on their rookie contracts. They can't afford to keep both those running backs.
Mm-hmm. I just think that I'm not saying that it's as tough, but it's definitely close to.
AFC West is the toughest division.
Okay.
They got Phillip Rivers, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, but the Chargers are just...
Their defense is just...
And then you've got Denver, who's struggling to figure out who their quarterback's going to be.
No, they're not. Trevor Siemian's their quarterback. This Tony Romo talk is nonsense. They've been out of that for months.
Well, I knew that they weren't going to get Tony Romo. I'm just saying... I don't think Trevor Siemian's that good of a quarterback.
I think he did fantastic for what he was expected to do last year. It's not their fault they lost.
I don't think it's their fault that they lost, but I think that he still needs at least another year to develop his talent.
They need running backs. They don't have a running back. Their running backs got hurt last year.
And they also need some help in the offensive line because it's not just their running back getting hurt. They couldn't run the ball at all. So...
You can make a reasonable case for all 4 teams to go to the playoffs in the AFC West.
I can't make a reasonable case for the Chargers going. But
why not? If their players actually stay healthy this year, Keenan Allen doesn't get hurt.
Okay, Keenan Allen doesn't get hurt. He's gotten hurt 3 years in a row.
Doesn't matter. That's not what I'm saying. You cannot see them making a playoff push.
No.
If Keenan Allen stays healthy.
If Keenan Allen stayed healthy, their defense is still trash.
They've made a lot of improvements on defense.
They've made a lot of improvements, but it's still not that good of a defense, in my opinion.
I think they could I don't think they're going to win the division, but they could easily make a wild card.
They could go 8-8, and with how weak some of the AFC is, that could be a wild card. Because a team made it 7-9 last year, so.
I think you can see them making the play. I can see them making the playoffs at like a 9-7.
Okay.
I could see the Denver Broncos making the playoffs easily,
mm-hmm.
and I could see Oakland and Kansas City both making the playoffs. Either of them winning the division, going to the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
I could see 3 AFC West teams in the playoffs. I could see 3 of them in 1 year.
Yeah, I just can't get behind the Chargers. I think that, and I also hate to say it, but I think Phil Rivers is getting kind of old.
He is, and they're wasting his talent.
But there's a lot of teams that are wasting quarterbacks' talent.
Now, the Saints are past their time.
Mm-hmm.
They're not playoff relevant anymore. Tampa Bay will be. Atlanta's never going to do what they did last year. Cam Newton's not the same player he was. He doesn't love the game anymore.
I didn't think that he was the same player either. It's just that offensive line was so bad. And I think that if they fix that...
Even beside that, he doesn't love the game anymore. In his MVP season, statistically will never happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
I didn't think that he was that good. I mean, I didn't think that it would happen again either. I want to see them fix that offensive line because they were saying he was making all these off-target throws, but he was getting hit so much.
Jameis Winston's going to run that division until he retires. Or leaves the Bucs, one or the other.
And I can see that happening, but I would just like Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton can have one more good year if they fix that offensive line.
I don't think he's going to have a good year this year. Coming off of surgery, no receivers. He's got Kelvin Benjamin.
And it may not be this year. I'm just saying, I think that he could have one more good year in him if they fix that offensive line.
I don't see it happening. Their defense is weak now. They lost their quarterback. They don't have a secondary.
I think, like I said, I think that he could have one more good year if they fix that offensive line.
I think in 2020, the Las Vegas... Have you seen the Las Vegas Raiders stadium design?
I haven't.
Looks pretty cool. I'm going to want to go to that.
You are?
I'll go watch the Chiefs beat them. Hopefully with the new quarterback that we draft this year.
Or hopefully with a new quarterback that you get. Maybe not drafting, but that you get.
I want to draft a quarterback. We never drafted a first-round quarterback in my lifetime.
Yeah. And I would just like... I think that the Chiefs have hit their... I think we've already talked about this, but I think they've hit their peak with Alex Smith.
We've hit our ceiling with Alex Smith.
And so you do need to look a new quarterback, but it's going to be... I don't know if you're going to draft one this year. You might draft one next year.
I think we will. I think we're going to draft a quarterback. We're going to have to suffer through a season of Alex Smith this year. Let the guy rest. Or learn behind Alex Smith. And then the year after that, let him loose.
But speaking of quarterbacks, I think we should talk about Tony Romo. He still hasn't been signed. He's still technically a Cowboy. So
I think Jerry Jones and him are not on good terms right now.
Do you think he's going to go to another team, or do you think he's going to do broadcasting?
He is going to play golf right now. And I think he can hurt his back doing that. And if he hurts his back, the Cowboys have to pay him, and they're not getting anything for him.
Yeah, and I think they've handled this all wrong. Like, they were trying to trade him to get something for him.
And then they said they were going to... Well, first they said they were going to release him.
And they never did.
And then they tried to trade him. And then they say, well, they're going to release him again. And now they're trying to trade him again.
What they should have done is released him. They should have just released him.
They shouldn't have said they were going to release him at all. They should have tried to trade him. Because the problem is, when they said they were going to release him, all the other teams were like, we're not giving anything for him if you guys are going to cut him.
Mm-hmm.
If they never said they were going to cut him, teams would be like, I'll give you a 6th, 5th round pick for him.
Yeah, they would give something small. But at the same time, with the great of a year that Dak Prescott had, they weren't going to start him.
Doesn't matter. He's not affecting their cap that much. So, if Dak gets hurt, wouldn't you love to have Tony Romo assurance?
Yeah, that'd be nice insurance.
Yeah, so why would you trade him? Now, Fox and CBS both have offered him a job broadcasting. Personally, I hope he takes Fox. Because I like a lot of the people on Fox more. But if he still wants to prove that he could win a championship, but I don't think he's happy with Jerry Jones, so I could see him going broadcast.
I just think that if a team does sign him, you're risking a lot because this is a year he's coming off an injury. He's been injured, I think 2 years in a row now, maybe 3. So you're risking a lot, and he's got a bad back. So you're just risking so much, and what are you going to gain out of it is my question.
A Super Bowl ring.
You think he's good enough to win you a Super Bowl ring? Because I've always thought Tony Romo was a little overrated.
On a team like the Texans, where all you need is a quarterback, I sure think he can.
You think he could win a Super Bowl with the Texans?
Name a weak spot on their team except for quarterback.
Except for quarterback, they really don't have that big of a weak spot. But I don't think that they're a good enough team to win a Super Bowl because I think that their offense needs a little bit of work of scoring a little bit more points.
On a team like Kansas City.
On a team like Kansas City, I could see it because they can actually score more points than Texans. The Texans have a little bit of a struggle scoring points.
Okay, let's say a team like Kansas City.
A team like Kansas City,
he could easily win a Super Bowl.
I could see him win a Super Bowl ring, but not with the Texans.
I could see him kind of with the Texans. You got to realize they were without J.J. Watt for most of last year, and they didn't have a quarterback, so their running back couldn't do anything. If they get a quarterback like Tony Romo who's going to throw the ball downfield, Lamar Miller will be able to run more, open up the run game more.
It's definitely something that would help them. If they get a quarterback, it will help those receivers. They've got great receivers. So if they get a quarterback, they've got a really high ceiling. But right now, I don't see anything happening too big. And there's really a lot to look forward to in the NFL, though, with these new rules and stuff like that. But what else do you want to talk about in the NFL?
We got the draft coming up next month. Which team are you going to root for this year?
To get better or to win it all?
What team are you looking forward to watching and rooting for?
Looking forward to watching and rooting for? I would like to root for the 49ers. I like to see what they would do. And I think with the new owner and the new GM, and they're going to have a new quarterback and just new everything. I'd like to see them kind of change. Or the Eagles would be nice too with Carson Wentz. I think that'd be a lot of fun to watch.
You're going to go back to rooting for the Eagles, huh?
It was just so hard.
One final topic. Seattle Seahawks are open to accepting trade offers for Richard Sherman. Do you think that's a big deal?
Richard Sherman is a lot of talk. And he's definitely a good corner. He's not the best in the NFL, but he's definitely a good corner.
He's on the downhill slope of his career, and he's getting into it with coaches on the sidelines, and he doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut.
Well, I think corner is one of the hardest jobs in the NFL because there's so many good receivers, and they can't really do anything to guard a receiver. And a bad night for a receiver is having 80 yards receiving. That's still 6 catches. It's not like a.
But why is he calling out the offensive coordinator?
I think he has a little bit of a say to call out the offensive coordinator because I still am mad at the Seahawks for not running the ball.
Doesn't matter. It's not his position. He's not on offense.
I mean, maybe he's not the one that should be calling out the offensive coordinator.
He shouldn't be calling out coaches. That's not his job.
But he's always had a big mouth. That's always what Richard Sherman's always been. He's always been the big mouth. I've never liked him.
I think he's a garbage person.
Say what you will about his big mouth. He's one of the top 10 corners.
Not anymore. No way.
I don't know. And I mean, there's corners that I can name that are better than him, but I still rank him in the top 10.
I can name 10 quarterbacks better than him.
Okay, well, we've got different opinions about it, but I still rank him in the top 10.
And especially with him, he's on the downhill slope of his career. He's getting up there in age because he's only played like 7 seasons, but he came in the league later than everybody else normally does.
And he's also played reckless, so when you play 7 seasons reckless, it really tears your body.
And he's a loudmouth. Receivers don't like him. A lot of his teammates don't like him.
It's kind of like what I said about Lonzo Ball. It's a PR nightmare.
But that's not Lonzo being the PR nightmare. It's his dad.
Yeah, but it's still a PR
It's
nightmare.
Richard Sherman being the PR nightmare.
Yeah, it's a PR nightmare that you have to kind of be around. And if the Seahawks do get rid of him, I mean, like you said, I think he is he's old but I still think he's a good corner. But he doesn't have that many years left. I think he's got maybe 2 left. So if they got rid of him, I think it'd be a good time because I think he's only got 2 more years where he's going to stay relevant.
And I know I said that was the last topic, but one more.
Okay.
Kaepernick, is he going to get a job?
I don't think so. I don't want to say that the NFL is blackballing him, but I didn't think he was that good of a quarterback to begin with.
He's not a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
And NFL teams, they don't want any drama from their backup. That's why Tim Tebow doesn't have a job. Johnny Manziel doesn't have a job. None of these guys have jobs because they're media circuses. The only play that Kaepernick can run very well is a QB kneel.
Or a QB sneak.
No, the QB kneel. That's it. On a sneak, he'll probably fumble. Or a kneel, he's been kneeing all year, so he's used to it.
I don't want to say that the NFL is blackballing him.
Oh, they are.
I don't think that he'll have a job.
They totally are blackballing him, and I don't blame him. He knew what he was getting into. Your boss is 32 rich white billionaires, and you're gonna knee during the national anthem.
And if you don't agree with something, there's a lot to not agree with. But I don't know if kneeling during the national anthem is the way to go about it.
If he wanted to protest, all means protest. I don't care. I didn't support it. I don't like it. But this is the consequence you have to pay because you wanted to protest.
Yeah, and I think we're just going to kind of leave it at that. This is Sports Your Shorts. I'm Andrew signing off.
I'm Jimmy.
And we hope you tune in next week, and we hope that you check out our Facebook page now and check out our previous episodes. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in.